Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop, brought to you by Red Raider Outfitter, the fans' favorite since 1975. I'm Jared Johnson, and boy, it was, man, I don't think I can exaggerate just how bad of a loss it was for Texas Tech at Iowa State, at Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. 84-50 was the final score, but it was a very poor effort from Texas Tech. Now, Iowa State's a good team. They're a national ranked team. They're undefeated now in the Big 12. And Texas Tech moved to 0-4, by the way, in the Big 12. But, and the Hilt is one of the toughest places to play in the country. So, yes, all that being said, just a really bad performance from Texas Tech. Too many turnovers, which I say almost every game. But must be stated, they're not forcing a lot of turnovers either. Poor shooting from deep, poor defense. The whole no middle iron donut, as Mighty Joe likes to call it, defense has not worked. Tech's played more zone this year than I can remember in a long time. I think that's for a number of reasons, but one of it is they have been very inconsistent in the rotations, which, I mean, we were talking about a switching defense, a team that has to move and work in concert together to play defense in general, but especially this no-middle scheme of forcing things sideline and all that, and guys having to be in the right place at the right time. You have to be able to count on your teammates to be at the right place at the right time. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. The lack of rotation, the lack of cohesion, sometimes effort, which even Coach Adams mentioned after the loss against Iowa State. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster with this defense, with this scheme. It just doesn't work. So they did get Bacho and Daniel Bacho, their starting forward, and Pop Isaacs, their starting point guard, back, but neither were particularly effective. I mean, nobody or nothing was particularly effective for Texas Tech against Iowa State. The 0-4 start is disturbing for many fans, and understandably so. There's been a lot of rumors flying around inside the Red Raiders, and I'm sure other message boards and on social media about things that could be going on behind the scenes. And what I can say with certainty is there are chemistry issues, and there have been really throughout the season. I asked Coach Adams a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I can't remember exactly when, after a home game earlier in the year, about what is the chemistry like on the team. He said, honestly, it's not there yet, and that they may be a month away. Well, it's been a month, and clearly there are still some chemistry issues. Now, when you look at this 0-4 start, they had a 11-point lead on TCU at the half, which they blew. They were within one possession against Kansas at home the next Big 12 game, and they didn't get it done. They, despite losing Pop and Bacho for the OU game, only having 8 scholarship players, they battled back and had a chance to beat Oklahoma, but lost in overtime at home. And then, of course, the debacle here against Iowa State. So when you look at the first 3 games, they played close. Now, they lost. That's the bottom line. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying this team, the potential is there. Something's not clicking. There are some chemistry issues. There are some coaching issues. And they're dealing with the injury to Fardaws, who was supposed to be, if not the best, one of the best players on the team. So that's what's going on, in my humble opinion. We'll have to see how do they battle. Now, they have a tough game against Texas, who several of the players returned from the team last year that remembered, Tech sweeping them and the reception they got in Lubbock and all that. Of course, Chris Beard's no longer with the team. He's been fired. But Texas is still a very good team. Rodney Terry's leading them. It's in Austin on Saturday. I believe it's a 7 p.m. tip-off. So if Tech doesn't show up with a better effort, then they're going to get blown out again. There's some other issues beyond what I've already mentioned. I think Mighty Joe mentioned in his most recent Jaeger shots after the Iowa State game, there is a lack of physicality that we're used to seeing Texas Tech play with. I think Coach Adams said the same after the game. And, part of the reason with the turnovers is just not, enough strength like hand strength, something that simple as that. But I think it's more than, I think it's concentration, or a lack of concentration, a lack of togetherness with the team. And I also don't like what they've been doing scheme-wise offensively. So there's a lot. Now I don't think this team is going to play, obviously, for a Big 12 championship. In the Big 12 tournament, maybe they could make a run. That looks unfathomable right now, looking at the way the team's playing. But things change throughout the course of the season. And I don't think at this point they're going to make the NCAA tournament. Now, it's not over yet for those last two. Could they make a huge run and get in the NCAA tournament? Sure. I mean, we see that every year from teams that look buried, like this season's over, and then they come from out of nowhere like Dracula, and then some of them even make runs in the tournament. So it's not over, but it looks very bad right now, especially coming off that loss at Iowa State, where effort and toughness are being questioned, coaching is being questioned. So this is not what we're used to seeing over the last 4 or 5 seasons, maybe even longer. Texas Tech basketball, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough couple of weeks, or a week and whatever, start to Big 12 play. But, I can see it coming. I've been saying for months on YouTube, on Inside the Red Raiders, on the radio, that I was afraid this team didn't have what it takes, whether it be a lack of experience, a lack of physicality, a lack of togetherness, to go on the road and play some of these Big 12 teams. And I even said, a couple weeks ago, it's here, it's time. Big 12 play has begun, and I don't know if they're ready. Well, TCU, I don't know if it was a very good gauge, even though they did blow that big lead. I think they led by as many as 13 in the first half, because there may have been more Tech fans at that game. And then they played well at home. They lost both games, but they played really tough. They were right there with, a very good Kansas team, of course, defending champs, top 5 team. And then, Oklahoma, even undermanned. But going on the road in a place like Hilton Coliseum, I'm not surprised they got blown out. I'm surprised Iowa State is as good as it is this year, but they are. But given that, and the fact that Hilton Coliseum is such a tough place to play, I'm not surprised. Some of the lack of effort, I was a little surprised by, but I think it was a total meltdown by the team, and Iowa State pounced. So that's where they are. I have to see what they do against Texas coming up Saturday night in Austin. Maybe they could respond. That would be obviously a huge win for the whole fan base. Obviously for the team, maybe you could jumpstart things. I think if they really want to go to the tournament, they need to win this game. They need to get a win, impressive win, because right now all their wins are against inferior competition. So, big game coming up for Texas Tech against UT this weekend. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.